Back on Game Day Scoreboard and taking a look at one. The Niners leaving no doubt and remaining unbeaten. 35-16 your final. How about this? Take away the name and all you know. If I could sell you 20 of 21 for $283, one in the air and one on the ground, I'm sure you'd sign up. Brock Purdy's line continues to open eyes and drop jaws. Purdy leading the way here alongside Christian McCaffrey, who went for $106 on 20 totes, got in the end zone 4 times. Ryan Wilson in to break this one down as well. Ryan, we are likely looking at the most complete, bruising football team in the NFL through 4 weeks. A perfect 4-0 are these 49ers, and appearing to get better even in the absence of stars at some moments. Debo nicked up in this one. Brandon Ayuk missed some time weeks ago. Maybe Brock Purdy's the through line. What did you make of that 20 of 21 for north of 280 and 2 touchdowns?
Clinical. And, you know, we can have conversations about if Trey Lance was the right pick. Clearly he was not. But if you want to make yourself feel better, just assume Brock Purdy went 3rd overall and Trey Lance was a 7th round pick, because at the end of the day, he is the man in which the offense runs through. And he's incredibly tough. He's incredibly smart. He does exactly what Kyle Shanahan wants him to do. And I don't care who you are or if you have that childish grin there. Don't be fooled, Joe. 20 of 21, 283, and no turnovers. That's all you need. And you mentioned the playmakers. You don't need to do a lot. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Ayuk, you have Debo Samuel when he's hitting on all cylinders. So there's reasons for optimism in terms of just playing within the confines of the offense. That's what we're seeing from Brock Purdy. And, oh, by the way, that defense gets after it.
Yeah, I think he's shaken any lingering doubt that remained from last year of let's see it again. Well, we're watching it again. Brock Purdy, spectacular in his opportunity. I want to get to some of the targets around him, but since we're on the topic of quarterback, let's go to the other one. Josh Dobbs has comported himself quite nicely. He's played really well. He's led from the front. He's given you things that maybe you don't get with the man who's supposed to be the starting quarterback. What do the Cardinals do when their depth chart is back in full health, which we don't have a due date on that yet, but Kyler Murray is going to soon be eligible to return. Now, when we do get a date, then maybe the real conversation can begin. But what do the Cardinals do at quarterback moving forward?
Well, the big issue, right, with Kyler Murray was this. It was that he and Cliff Kingsbury were loggerheads. And they weren't on the same page, and that's why Cliff, along with the poor record, was dismissed. Now, Kyler Murray, you paid him a ton of money. You had the clause in there about video games, maybe not. But if he's not willing to play within this offense, and that's exactly what we just talked about with Brock Purdy and his willingness to do with much success, you would imagine Jonathan Gannon, who, credit to Jonathan Gannon for turning this organization around. They are playing incredibly tough. They are not tanking for anyone. If it's unclear that Kyler wants to buy in, Josh Dobbs is your guy. He has a relationship with Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, when they were together at Cleveland. He's hit the ground running. There's been no sort of learning curve. It helps to be an aerospace engineer, I think. But you have to applaud the athleticism, the decision-making, and keeping this team in games. Joe, they're 1-3, but their 2 losses were by 4 and 3 points, and last week they put a whipping on the Cowboys. Yeah,
they're not the team that you want to line up across.
No.
I think that they're going to be a tough out for anybody, and maybe teams do get those outs that are built to win right now. But there are pieces for Arizona that are worth taking a look at moving forward. Let's get back here on the 49ers because they seem to do everything well. This was nondescript, and your quarterback's almost perfect. You go for 30-plus points. You don't get anything out of your guy here in Debo. When a team is this multiple in their offensive approach, Ryan, how do defenses go about starting to stop them? Now, I know you'd be employed somewhere else if you had the exact answer to that question, and there's probably people looking for that answer right now actively, but where do you start stopping them?
They do the simple things well. And we talked about it while watching the Dolphins, and Mike McDaniel, of course, the head coach there, is from that coaching tree, the Kyle Shanahan tree. The multitude of ways they can beat you with speed. Kyle Shanahan scheming guys open, and then the defense is absolutely dominant. We saw it with Robert Saleh. We saw it with DeMeco Ryans. We see it now with Steve Wilks as defensive coordinator. So the next man up is the party line, and it's very much true whether it's defensive coordinator, whether it's quarterback stepping in for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, and everyone is playing at the optimal level. And when you look around the league at teams that are struggling, the Steelers and the Bears, for example, you see offenses that aren't in the same conversation, galaxy, universe than what we see at San Francisco and Miami. And I think that's a takeaway for me, that if you do the little things well and they don't have to be complicated, you can get a long way in this league by minimizing mistakes.
Well, if we want to find out who might be standing atop the NFC, we won't have to wait long. We will get the Cowboys and the 49ers next week. It's going to be a fun one to watch those two stalwarts go head-to-head as we take a look here at some of the fantasy numbers coming out of this one. CMC, come on. I mean, come on. Producer Lucas was going up against CMC in like all of his leagues, so T's and P's, he did not come away with any W's. Brock Purdy going for 23. If he's not nabbed and your quarterback's not performing, that's pretty much what you're getting each and every week. Josh Dobbs, 26 points there, maybe a little bit more boom or bust in that regard. Brandon Ayuk caught a couple long ones, 20 fantasy points. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, noticeably absent here in the box score.
And they still rolled.